Hello everyone and welcome to our Open Day Opportunities Beyond the Classroom session. I'm Charlotte Taylor. I'm the Employability and Placements Coordinator for the Business School, and we're joined today by some lovely students and alumni of the Business School and of course Judy. I don't know if Judy, you want to introduce yourself? You're on mute.
Which is a good start. Hi everyone, I'm Judy Turner. I'm the Global Experiences Manager in the Business School. And good to meet you all, and I'm really looking forward to having a great discussion today with our students and alumni.
So I'll just go to Izzy next, as you're the first on my screen.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I'm a graduate from Lincoln. I did my placement year at IBM, as well as Kai. I'm currently back at IBM now in their graduate scheme.
Thank you. And Leah?
Hi, I'm Leah. I'm currently in my third year, so final year of studies at Lincoln. I did my placement with Park Plaza Waterloo, which is part of the Radisson Hotel Group.
Kai?
Hi everyone, so I'm Kai. I studied marketing management at Lincoln from 2016 and graduated this year. As part of that, as Izzy mentioned, between my second and third year of study, I completed a placement year as a channel marketing specialist at IBM. And again, similarly to Izzy, since graduating, I've returned to IBM and I'm on their graduate scheme as an associate consultant.
And last but not least, Alex.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Considine. I started my degree at Lincoln in 2015 in business management and did a sandwich year between my second and third years at project management at BAE Systems. Then graduated just over a year ago and have now returned to BAE Systems on their project management graduate programme.
Wonderful, thanks all for joining us. I don't know if you wanted to start off, just have a little conversation about what you did on placement year, what your role was, and I'll start with Izzy because you mentioned that you went to IBM and you're now still there in your graduate role, which is great, and Kai as well. So you both went together, but am I right that it's two separate locations? No?
No, we were both in South Bank, so we both applied slightly different, very different roles on placement. So I was in a business development team, so kind of working with senior leadership on kind of large deals. It was very interesting, very kind of eye-opening into the world of tech. And for those who don't know, IBM is a technology company kind of primarily in software. They are kind of known as, you might know them as computers, but they are just software at the moment. And yeah, so I was kind of working with client projects, and then now back into the grad scheme, it's consulting like Kai said, but Kai had a different role. So if you want to talk about that, Kai, you can.
Yeah, sure. So my role on placement was a channel marketing specialist. So that involved working with IBM's business partners. So in my marketing capacity, I looked after sort of communications, lots of different events that we held, looked after our Net Promoter Score program, our client advocacy. But overall, it's sort of a really, really varied role, got involved with lots of different stuff. And at IBM, there's a huge number of students on placement. So I think it was about 200 during my year. So there's a really big community of students. So personally, I lived in a house in Clapham with 6 other placement students. So no, it was a really, really good fun time.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like university if you're kind of worried about the transition from second year into kind of an actual kind of into the real world, I guess. It does feel like uni if you move away, even if you stay at home. I know at the moment it probably would be online. There's so many students, so many interns, and everyone is so keen to be social. Everyone wants to interact with each other. If you have a Zoom calls in the evenings or quizzes, online drinks or anything, everyone is very eager to meet everyone, which I think is a good thing there because there's so many interns, and the same in the graduate scheme. There's a lot of intake there as well.
Yeah, and I think that's something that students perhaps worry about when they go on to placement, is not knowing anyone. and being away from their friends. I think, Leah, there was quite a few placement students where you were as well.
Yeah, so there was a cohort of about 30 of us students amongst the different, there were 7 Park Plaza properties in London, so across all of them. And we all had different roles as well, whereas like some of us were food and beverage, meeting and events, etc., just in the different properties. And we all had like lectures and reconnect days and everything where we would come together and share our experiences. So yeah, that was good.
It's really nice to hear. How about you, Alex? Did you have a lot of other students on placement with you, or?
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, BAE Systems is an aerospace and defence organisation split up into different business units. So they've got locations all over the country, such as naval ships in Glasgow. You've got electronic systems in Rochester, submarines in Barrow and Frimley, air and military and information in places like Samlesbury and Preston. And each business unit has its own intake of both placement students and graduates. So you get the opportunity to meet different placement students from across the business. And I think I can't remember exactly how many there are, but there's probably at least 100 in the whole business. But where I was based in Glasgow in naval ships, basically building warships, I think there was probably about 10 placement students, so not many, but it didn't really matter that much because we were very, very social. We got always talking, always meeting each other for lunch and drinks and things like that. But you also get engaged with the graduates. So when you're a placement student, you get treated like a graduate, and you have this near enough the same opportunities, the same experiences, and the same sort of workload, and you get some really interesting projects and things to do. So all in all, there's probably a community of about 30 of you constantly engaging and constantly working together and doing different things. So I think it's absolutely brilliant, and especially as everybody's in different functions. So you could be in project management, engineering. You get that wide variety of skills and knowledge and experience, and it just makes a really interesting conversation, and I think a fascinating experience for anybody who would do a placement year.
I just wanted to ask, actually, was that something that any of you expected, to have that sort of community when you got into sort of having a placement? Was that an expectation?
I don't think I think they sell it. A lot of companies nowadays sell kind of that social side to their placement. You know, they talk about the role, the company, the opportunities, but then I think that community is quite a big selling point nowadays. I think more people look for it. You know, and most companies will have it. I think you just have to, it's however much you put into it. You know, if you want to go out there, meet new people, you know, socialize a bit more, it's kind of at your fingertips if you want to. But no, I was quite surprised by IBM. I'm not sure, Kai, if you're the same. I knew that there was a lot of interns going, but I don't think, for example, in my team and kind of in the department I was in, there was no interns. So on my day-to-day role, I never worked with interns. I never worked, you know, with people that I met and became friends with. It was pretty much kind of either in the evenings or on weekends. But I think it does help. It kind of, that makes it give that more kind of university style life, because you're still meet people for the first time. And I was the same as Kai, lived with other people on placement just through a Facebook group that IBM set up. So yeah, it's a good way, but no, pleasantly surprised after that placement.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Izzy that there's a big emphasis placed on sort of the social aspect of it by employers, because they obviously know that's a good way to lure you in. If you're coming out of your comfort zone for the first time in a job, you want to be of a like-minded people. But again, like Izzy, I didn't quite realise the sort of scale of it at IBM, but that was definitely one of the biggest positives from my year. So they organised lots of events. We were encouraged to organise events. So for Christmas, for example, I organised a black tie boat party down the Thames for the 200 placement students. So just things like that, lots of get-together, was really good fun.
I think I had a very, very similar experience at BAE as well. So while you didn't necessarily work together, you're always aware of the other placement students and interns in the business. And so you've got placement students and summer interns. Didn't live together, but you still met each other at weekends. And I think the whole process was absolutely brilliant. And the thing that I really loved that BAE did was that they got you doing loads of team building activities, and they gave you the opportunity to do what's called outward bound. And so it's basically a week where all the placement students and some of the apprentices went to Fort William, so Ben Nevis way, and had a week's worth of team building activities there. So it's really, and that was right at the beginning of your placement year. So that sort of helped you gel as well quite quickly. So you weren't left out on your own. You didn't feel like you were wondering what your place was in the business. You felt like you had a purpose, and you felt like you could talk to people and you could actually contribute as well. So it was, I think, and I'm sure most other people's experiences are very similar, that these companies do value placement students, and that we're there for a reason, because they want to get you back, and you do contribute and bring that fresh perspective to the business. So definitely.
Actually, that's a really interesting. Sorry, Leah, carry on.
No, it's okay. I was just going to add on to that, saying that with Park Plaza, we also had a week right at the beginning where all of the placement students would be together and go through lots of training and meet each other and just be introduced into the company, like, quite formally. So every day what we did was we had just an events day at a different property. So we also got to see like where everybody would be working as well, which was just a really great insight to start the placement off.
I think the two aspects that you've all sort of brought up is really interesting, and I think it's two things that a lot of people don't think about when they initially start to look at placements, is that actually there is a community there. And Alex, as you said, the really important thing is actually how well respected you are as a placement student, how important you are to the company, what you can bring to the company. And you know, for us, we're always trying to say that your job is a proper job. You know, you're there to do a job. They want to get as much from you as they can. You really enhance their business. And that's such an important aspect of doing a placement year. I wanted to ask, sort of, had you all gone into university knowing that you wanted to do a placement?
Yeah, straight away, yeah. I think I always knew that doing a placement year would give me the experience I needed to help me make me a bit more employable once I finished my degree, I suppose, because the competition is so tough that it really helped give you the experience that you lacked on your CV, and it helped stand you in good stead. And your point that you made, Judy, about being valuable and contributing to the business, I think you're really, really well respected. So when I was a placement student, I did 4 rotations within the naval ships business, working on different programs and different projects. So started off in what they call the Type 26, Batch 1, Stage 1. So it's working with various stakeholders in the business to convert customer plans into requirements, but it's all important things that you're doing. And then I went on to a second program, which was a smaller program, but I was contributing to the actual delivery of a vessel, helping manage compartments for completion, and actually went to go on the sea trials. So you get all these fantastic opportunities in different rotations, then had bidding experience when we were bidding to the Canadian government to sell some of our designs. So I think as a placement, you have that brilliant opportunity to see different areas of the business and really expose yourself to the different cultures and different ways of working, different projects and programs, so that once you then go back and finish your final year, you can really start to take some self-reflection, think, did I enjoy that? Did I not enjoy that? What did I do? What did I not do? What experiences do I want? Which helps you set you up when you graduate. Right, I know I want to go and do this or this or this. So any experience you have, even if you don't really like it, it's a good experience, because you then know, I don't want to go and do that anymore. So it's absolutely brilliant. And I'll say that every time, but it is brilliant. And
for me initially, I'm actually the opposite. So when I came into university, I had no intention of doing a placement year. So I joined just on the 3-year course, and then my interest actually got sparked because during my first year there was sort of a guest lecture from someone who was on placement, I think at Green Corps, and she came in and talked to us about her experiences, and that sort of really sparked my interest. So from there I went and spoke to sort of the business school employability team, and they said, yeah, sure, there's no worries, you're transitioning onto the 4-year course if you find yourself a placement. So that's what I did, went full steam ahead at the start of my second year, applying for lots of different placements. And through that application process, I think there was definitely lots of different areas I utilised. So I found the career centre really useful. I did a mock interview. which was maybe a little bit awkward, but really valuable. I attended like some different guest lectures from other employers. I think I went to a Google one, not specific to IBM, but it's the general employability skills that you pick up that are useful. And again, lots of just sort of conversations with the business school employability team, which really helped me during my search.
Yeah, I was kind of, I guess, in between Alex and Kai. I did apply for the placement degree. So I did business management, more because I think I was slightly influenced by my brother, because he'd done a placement doing a management degree as well. So I kind of was probably following his footsteps slightly. But kind of what Alex was saying earlier, you know, I think nowadays just having a degree, you know, is amazing and an amazing achievement. But if you can get in that placement year and get in that year's experience, it sets you ahead from a lot of other people that either haven't kind of taken the plunge to do it or don't know what they want to do. And as Alex said before as well, even if you don't know what you want to do, I had no idea. That's why I chose business management, more because it was so varied. I was going to touch in on marketing, HR, finance, and then I could kind of figure out from there. But your placement does allow you to kind of pinpoint what you enjoy, what you don't. And there's definitely things that I did on my placement that I thought, nope, never again, not doing that. But then there's also things that I thought, I love this, I want to do this again, which is why then I applied back. But as Kai was saying, that the Career Centre, using, you know, those mock interviews, those mock assessment centres, the CV help, it's kind of, you can use that, and the more you use it, the better. Because I think I was quite, Kai said it can be quite awkward at the start. I was quite nervous to use it at the start because I thought, oh, I can't sit in front of someone and pretend it's an interview if it's not. But then I kind of just built up the confidence to keep going to them, you know, attending more talks, even if you don't want to actually ask any questions, just kind of sit there and take notes, and all those little things kind of add up and help. But I think the biggest thing for me that kind of put me off a little bit was the application processes. But again, that's all practice. And the one kind of piece of advice I'd give is practice before you do them. That's what I wish I'd done, because I kind of went straight in, start of September, I was thinking I'm going to jump in, apply for these big companies, with not realising that with zero practice and zero experience of any sort of online test was a good thing. But you soon realise the more you do, the more you kind of get more confident with them, you know, the online tests or the online interviews or anything like that. They kind of become second nature after you do them a few times. So getting in that practice is kind of the one thing that I wish I did, which I would kind of recommend to anyone doing, because after that, everything feels a little bit easier. But it is worth the wait. I would absolutely recommend a placement to anyone. I think it just, I don't know, it opens up kind of so many different opportunities. And I'm not sure who mentioned it earlier, but might have been Alex. Companies like to bring back their placement students. You know, if they know, I mean, if you don't want to go back to the company, that's fine. But if you do, you're much more favourable than someone that hasn't been there before, because you've got that year's experience in that company, and they know you, and they know you understand their values and how they work. So they'll kind of try and get you back as quick as you can. So yeah, no, but definitely recommend one.
Touching on what Izzy was saying about the application process, lots of companies have different application processes. So the thing that's worthwhile doing is researching the application process first. So yes, you have the standard things like psychometric tests, perhaps submitting a video interview, things like that in assessment centers. Yes, they're all standard things. But if you can go onto LinkedIn or use the LinkedIn alumni to go get in touch with the business school and find out who from the business school has been to those companies before, that you can then be put in touch with people who've done that application process and find out exactly what it's like. So that's what happened with me. When I was starting to do my applications for BAE the first time around, I was put in touch with somebody who was then a graduate, had been a placement student, had done everything, and he was able to tell me exactly what the application process was like. Given me some really good hints and tips. So I used that alongside all the psychometric test practice and mock interviews and all of that sort of thing. And it really gives you a step up. So you can work with all these different people to get step up after step up after step up. And yes, you'll make mistakes. You will get rejected, you'll get accepted, but it's it's the experience and that journey that helps you tenfold no matter what. So I really echo what Izzy is saying, and that practice makes perfect, and it really does help.
I think there's a really good point being made about sort of rejection and practicing and carry on going. And I think resilience is something we really try and instill in students, just to make sure that you do keep going. What I want to know is, was there any point in your placement search where you thought, oh no, I can't do this anymore, and you sort of were about to give up perhaps? Or Kai, sorry.
So yeah, just leading on from that. So for me, I actually went full steam ahead when I started my applications, and I applied for absolutely loads in industries that I had no desire or intention to be in. So I know that I applied for lots of pharmaceutical ones. I didn't want to work for a pharmaceutical company. I had no interest in that at all. So I probably wasted a lot of my time doing that. And I was thinking more quantity rather than quality. So I was just like banging out all these applications when actually what I should have done is focused on the industry, the IT industry I wanted to be in, and just made those applications absolutely like solid. So from my own experience, I think I applied for about 25 different placements. Talking about conversion rates, I think I had about 8 interview offers. I went to 6, and then I got 2 job offers. So that was my sort of experience. But yeah, it definitely, with lots of the applications, there's a big lag time between applying and getting a result. So while you're waiting, I think IBM is actually one of the first ones that I applied to. But then obviously I didn't know for, I think it was 4 months I took to find out if I'd got the job. So you just don't know, so you're keeping applying for all these other ones. So you've definitely got to be resilient and recognise that there is a big lag time between applying and actually getting the job offer.
And the other thing that I would recommend, and I think it could be quite good practice, is once you've had your interview, I don't see any harm in emailing the interviewer, if you have their email in their name, saying thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate the opportunity for the interview. I found these points really, really interesting. And anything you can do in the whole interview process to set you apart from the crowd and think, that person did this, or that person stood out because of this. And it can help you in your placement search as well. And it gets you good practice for writing those sorts of formal emails and responding to interviews, and actually doing the simple things like remembering the interviewer's name or remembering the points they made. And you can use that in your help in your next placement interview. And things like that also help a lot.
Yeah, I'd agree with Kai as well about the kind of quality over quantity thing. I was very much the same. Dive straight in thinking I'll apply to the big 4, I'll apply to the biggest names I could. One thing that you need to watch out for is kind of opening dates. So placement in different companies will kind of open their application processes at certain dates, and then they might close them just before Christmas, and then they might reopen them after Christmas. So you have to just be careful that if there's one that you really want, don't wait it out too long, but still get in that practice before, which is why it's always good to kind of prepare a bit earlier. I was similar numbers to Kai, probably about 20, 25. A lot of those probably were not very good ones because I rushed them and I was probably panicking, thinking I haven't got one. But I mean, I can't remember when you got yours, Kai, but IBM was one of the last ones I applied to because I didn't come across it. Not because I didn't want it, it was more just I'd never saw their application come up. So I think every time I looked, it must have been closed. And so I didn't get my offer until probably April time. And which at that point in your kind of second year, you would start to panic because, you're coming to the end of your term. But the only thing I'd say is don't give up. If you really are that determined to do a placement, something will come up and, it will show, people will recognize that you're still going at that point. And there was a lot of friends I had on my course that, gave up at January time because, they just knew they wouldn't get one. But you just have to kind of keep pushing through. If you're that determined to do one, something will come up. But it's, quality over quantity. But again, don't spend too much time on one because you don't want to be let down if it goes wrong. But the rejections, I think that's something that I wish I was told kind of earlier on, is that, don't take the rejection too badly, because it does hit a bit when someone says, sorry, you haven't got the job or something. But, you have to think how many applicants are applying. And, you know, those rejections are actually what makes probably your applications after that better, because you know kind of what to tweak and what to edit, and you know, you did this in that one, maybe try something new. But it's worth it in the end, because you know the experience you get is something you can't get just at uni. It kind of adds to your uni degree, adds to your course, adds to everything else at uni. But you know, getting that extra work experience is something like that not a lot of people will get.
I think there's also a flip side. So I was sort of the opposite from Izzy and Kai, in the sense that I did a few applications. I think I must have only done about 8-ish, so quite a reduced number. And I think I applied to about 8, got rejected from a few straight away, and then had a couple of interviews, a couple of assessment centres, and a couple of job offers. But the thing I found difficult was, if you get a job offer really, really quickly. So I got my BAE Systems offer in, I think it was either October or November, so straight after the term had started. You've still then got the rest of the year. So it's okay to say, let me think about it, or I just need to look at my options, because if they really want you, they will wait for you. So don't necessarily jump at the first thing that comes. If you're still interested in other industries and other jobs, just keep doing those applications, because you never know, you might find one that you prefer more than that offer. And so that's what happened for me. So I got my IBM offer, and the particular role they offered me wasn't exactly what I wanted. So I waited until I got the BAE offer and that had been finalised before I then went back to IBM and said, I'm sorry, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Because I think when I did the IBM one, I applied for one role, which I really wanted, but they offered me something completely different. So just be aware of that as well. Placement companies might offer you something that they think you're more suited for, but it's all right to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I actually applied for, because I think that'll be more interesting. So hold out, but obviously don't hold out too long. It's a fine art, but don't necessarily take the first thing that comes your way, because there are other opportunities out there as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Sorry, so my first offer I had was actually from BMW, but then like a couple of weeks later, the IBM offer came through, and I knew that's where I wanted to be. So not being afraid to just go back to BMW and just say, sorry, something more suitable has come along. It's not always best practice once you've accepted an offer to go away and turn it down, but at the end of the day, they want you to be 100% committed to that role, so they're probably gonna be fine with it.
Yeah, it's kind of getting that balance of, you know, keeping them waiting, but then not keeping them waiting too long to the point where they think, oh, I'm going to offer it to someone else. Because I was in the similar one in February time. I got an offer from Lloyds Banking to do a risk analyst role up in Edinburgh, and you know, it sounded amazing, but you know, it wasn't quite what I wanted. And then kind of alongside that, I was also doing the IBM Assessment Center, which I was a lot more kind of excited for. So, and I'd got the offer from Lloyds, but I needed to hold them off a little bit, because if I got IBM, I wanted to take that one. And it is hard, because they will email you and say, you know, have you made your decision? And you do feel kind of guilty sometimes saying, not quite. And you don't want to say, oh, I'm waiting for another one that I prefer. You have to word it right. And there's lots of support you can get from the careers team if you get into that situation, or if, you know, you're offered a role that you don't like, and how maybe you could word it to ask what other roles are available. I did an application for Microsoft, which was a fun application, but the role they offered me for the placement scheme was a design role, and I'm probably the worst design person ever. And the thought of working at Microsoft sounded very cool, but probably putting myself into a design role was the wrong thing to do. So don't just go with the name of the company. I think that's another big thing is, you know, yes, it's good to work for a big company and, you know, have that name kind of linked to your profile. But if the role's not going to be right for you, then probably the year won't work for you. So you kind of have to be kind of clever with how you pick your role. Don't just, you know, as Alex and Kai said, don't just take the first thing that comes, because it might not necessarily be the best things for you. But again, talk to careers team, talk to friends, talk to lecturers. They'll all offer advice about, you know, what to do, because they'll have seen it 100 times. So don't think that you're kind of alone in any of those sort of decision making.
I wanted to just ask, I'm not too sure whether you all did it, but were you all part of the careers and employability module? Did you all have the careers and employability module?
No, it wasn't a thing when I was at uni.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, obviously for you, Izzy, I know you were, and I think when we started introducing that, and that was something that came up alongside the professional services support that Charlotte offers, I think it gives you another element of being able to understand how to put yourself forward for these roles, the resilience part of it. Did you find that really helped you, Izzy?
Yeah, so I think I had that in second year, and there was a lot of discussion around it would be great to have it earlier, I think, or maybe it was the second term of second year. I can't quite remember when it was, but I think I really enjoyed the module in terms of I could link it to applications, I could link it to kind of work, and it was a bit more, I'm not sure how to describe it, a bit kind of, it related more to the real world in terms of skills and what you need to know, and kind of, you know, tips and hints and things like that. But yeah, a module like that, and then using the careers team on top of that it kind of sets you in good stead for applications and going into work, even if you don't end up doing a placement. If you just want to.
And it has actually gone on to first year now. It's actually a first year module. Yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah, because I mean, the amount of support that you have really from the business school in terms of Charlotte's support and also support from the careers and employability module, when you look at the amount of support that you can get now across the university, I really think it's sort of become an area where people more and more people are starting to go for placements because of that support that's given. I wanted to sort of ask, what for you was the main sort of area of support that you found helpful from the university to actually applying for your placement year?
For me, the one piece of advice before I say the next bit is use the kind of resources earlier. That's the one thing I wish I did, was use it earlier on at my time at Lincoln. Even starting it in first year, I could have just done that. I think, again, it's a confidence thing. You know, you do feel nervous going up to people, and because you're not sure if what you're going to ask is the wrong thing. But even if you just sit down for 15 minutes with one of the careers team and talk about, you know, you're not sure where to go, or you like this but you don't like this, and you know, those conversations, to start them early, is going to help you so much. But now I've forgotten what your question was, Judy. Oh, the help with the careers. Yeah. I think for me I probably kept to myself quite a lot with the applications, but it was when I hit the applications is when I went straight to the careers team, because I was, you know, facing these different online tests, online interviews, assessment centres. I'd never done them before, never really spoken to anyone about them. And so I used the careers team purely for that. And, you know, having those practice sessions, you know, with the CV, I think that was the biggest help. I would sit down with someone in the careers team and, you know, hand them my kind of final CV, and they'd say, oh, you know, tweak this, tweak that, and those things, because a lot of companies do ask for CVs, or they might ask for, you know, kind of like a application letter or something. And it's getting those things checked with the careers team that really helped, because, you know, you might not have spotted something when you read it first time or 10th time, but someone else in the careers team might have a suggestion. So I think for me that it was all those kind of bits of help that helped me for the process.
I think I'd second that as well. The main piece I used was the CV support, and that was quite valuable, because I thought I had a good CV, and then there were a few things to tweak. But also through the careers and employability team, there was the whole mentoring program as well, which I found really, really useful. I won't go into too much detail, but I was also able to get support through that service. So I had a mentor assigned, which I had meetings about once a month or so. And that was employability help and support as well. And I could use that to help build my CV, and had a couple of mock interviews. And so that there are so many support services around that whatever your question and whatever support you need, the support is there for you to use and help. And because at the end of the day, university want you to succeed. They want you to have a good placement. They want you to get a job at the end of your degree. And it's in everybody's best interest. They're not exactly going to turn on and say, nah, we're not going to help you. You will get the help you need, and it will really stand you in good stead using that help. because they've been there before. It's worth recognising that these people have experience. They know what they're looking for, that they know how things should be done, and it's using those people to the best of your advantage will really stand you in good stead.
Leah, did you want to speak about your sort of experience with with the team? We haven't heard from you for a while, so I thought I'd give you the mic.
Yeah, so my application process, I would say, was a little bit different because during my second year, I was doing study abroad. So all of my applications I did was from when I was in Canada. So I had a lot of online support, like I was constantly emailing the careers team and just asking and getting opinions on some of the placements I'd been applying for. And also the University of Guelph, where I was studying in Canada, I also went to a lot of their careers fairs, and just, if anything, to build my LinkedIn network and just talk to people about opportunities abroad as well. I would also say, with me being in Canada, I physically couldn't come home and do any assessment centres or anything like that. But if there's a placement that you really want and you explain your situation, I ended up having an assessment centre adapted online for me, because again, if the company is interested in you, then they will adapt and they'll understand your situation. And if you want it, just explain, and yeah, they'll adapt, and well, you'll end up getting what you want if you ask.
Just wanted to ask, Leah, obviously you did was it a semester abroad that you did?
Yeah, it was just a semester.
Yeah. And did you feel that really sort of helped your confidence levels as well?
Yeah, definitely. Made us more confident for starting off my placement, because I only had a month from being there to starting. And yeah, it opened my eyes to just how different everything is on opposite ends of the world. But yeah, especially moving to London straight after, which is obviously such a globalized place. It's insane. I can't believe it, really. But yeah, it helped everything. And then placement obviously benefited that even more, working with people from all over the world every single day. It's just an amazing experience, really.
And obviously for all of you, because obviously, Leah, you're in third year now, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for all of you who've already graduated, did you really find that doing a placement year really affected the work you did in your final year?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Cara, I saw you came off mute there. Mine's quick. I feel like it changed kind of my outlook on work. I was never a big fan of exams and essays, but I knew I kind of wanted to, do a degree and do a placement. But I think with my role on placement, it was a lot of kind of looking at information and then compiling it into, smaller amounts and more manageable chunks for clients and things. So it's kind of similar with uni. You get given a lot of information. You have to read different textbooks and read different articles or books and things, and then you have to kind of compile it into, small. And I think with a lot of people, even if it's not intentionally on your placement, you will kind of get that skill just to be able to kind of read things and, work a little bit quicker. But my work and my grades from third year compared to first and second year are completely different, because I came back with a completely different mindset and just knew I wanted to, work harder. And I think probably just this experience I had made maybe the work slightly easier. I don't know if that's the same for any of you guys.
Yeah, so 100% with the mindset thing. So having done a 9-to-5 job, I came back into my third year telling myself I'm going to study 9 to 5, whereas I know my first and second years I definitely did not study 9 to 5. So that really helped. And again, as you said, the massive improvement in my grades in third year is just sort of evidence from the value of a placement year in that respect. But I was also able to use IBM as sort of a basis for a lot of the assessments I did. So I used them in I think 3 of my assessments with various modules as a case study for the assessments I was doing, and I was able to then go back to people in IBM that I had relationships with and get some primary research locked down. Again, for my dissertation, IBM featured quite heavily, so really positive from that respect.
I think I'd also like to add to that. So there are 4 things maturity, mindset, sort of bigger picture, and then the dissertation. So maturity-wise, I think there's a big maturity difference between those people who do a placement and those people who don't. You can sense it when you go back to university that you've got this well-roundedness, and you've got this work ethic that you may not gain if you don't do a placement year, and that's given to you and provided by having a wealth of experience and a different perspective when you do your placement year, which gives you the opportunities in your final year to have that new perspective and think about how you want to work. And I think Kai's point is actually really great. If you choose to do a dissertation in your final year, which I think I'd strongly recommend you do. I know that's a long way off for some people, but it gives you a new perspective and a new something to go back on. So I used my placement company in my dissertation, and I was able to base the whole dissertation on it, experiences I had seen, and it gave me a whole wealth of information that I could go away and research, and it was actually something that was really interesting to me, rather than trying to scramble on something I didn't really know what I was talking about and didn't have the experience. I could go away and use what I had learned to my advantage. And I think using all those experience together, along with what you gain through your placement year, really helps you in your final year. And you can see it in most people's grades. So I think that's another good benefit.
Yeah, I'd agree with both of you about the kind of noticing the difference when you come back. I think, Leah, you might notice it now, even just being in third year. I know it may be different online, but I think in first and second year, I was never really one to ask questions in seminars. I'd kind of keep to myself, sit back, and then third year you find yourself being that person that probably asks too many questions, or talks a lot, and you become that person. I think you build also strong relationships with your tutors and lecturers. I never really went to my tutors or lecturers in first and second year, which was a mistake, because in third year I used them a lot, and I think that then affected my grades as well, because I was getting this more support that I could have had all through the years. But yeah, no, it's kind of having those people around you to support you, whether it's just one person, so like a mentor, or whether it's tutors and lecturers. It really does help. And I think mentoring, something I wish I'd got into at uni, because looking back, in the workplace you can get a mentor, but at uni it would have been a good thing to have. But I just didn't look into it. But I would recommend it if you can get into it.
So just touching on the mentoring program, which is something that the business school does, Alex and Kai, you've actually come back as a mentor, which is really interesting for students, because you've had that experience of being a student yourself and then going on to placement year, and now you're actually talking to current students about that. So what sort of made you want to come back and join that program?
I think the biggest thing for me was I realized how much I'd gained from the program, and how much it really made a difference to my mindset and how I was going about applying for jobs, and what I was looking for, everything to do with the careers market and employability market. It just made me feel much more confident, and really somebody to act as a sounding board. And I really valued that experience, and I know from my experience how valuable it was. So I thought, well, why not come back and help? It's not a massive time commitment, and we only left university not long ago, so we have that sort of connection to the students. We can understand where they're coming from, the industries they want to apply to, and we can really offer that sounding board and that perspective that I think could be missing elsewhere. And I think it was just a great opportunity to help out. I mean, it didn't seem like much of an effort to me, so why not?
Yeah, so when I was at university, I didn't actually take advantage of the mentoring scheme, but definitely when I saw there was something that I could get involved with, something that I jumped on, because it was something that I would have definitely found useful. And yeah, like, it's not a massive commitment, and hopefully can make a difference to someone's career search.
I think the other thing is it doesn't have to be face-to-face. So clearly, given the situation we're currently in with coronavirus and the whole current lockdown, I'm mentoring my student from home. So we're using Zoom or Microsoft Teams, I can't remember what, but it's you still have that connection, that face-to-face connection, and then that whole working from home element as well. I think the company I've worked for has been extremely supportive. So I've been working from home now for 7 months, nearly 8 months, however long it's been. And I've not been on site once, though I am going on site next week and I can't wait. But we've had daily team calls. We've had one-to-ones with my manager to make sure that I'm okay. And I'm sure when you're on the placement scheme, it would be the same, if not more, because you're joining a company from never having sort of meeting anybody. And from what I can recall, and from what my current company is doing with the new placement students, they're making an absolutely massive effort to make sure that these people feel engaged and welcome and can communicate in the business properly. So I wouldn't be afraid about applying in current circumstances. I think there are some brilliant opportunities out there. And if anything, you might actually learn more because you've got to put yourself out there a little bit more. So I wouldn't be afraid of, I'm not going to say what Trump said, but I wouldn't be afraid of the current situation.
Obviously, with the whole coronavirus working from home sort of element, I think that again, like, is just another huge positive I've seen from doing a placement year. I would have struggled so much to have got a graduate job in the current climate had I not done a placement year and had that job offer under my belt, sort of going back into my final year of university. And that was such a relief having that under my belt that I could relax and just crack on with my studies in my third year. But yeah, so similarly, I've been working at home. I've started my grad job remotely. Initially, I was supposed to start my job back in June, but then it got deferred until September because of coronavirus. But now I've started, I've been working at home the last few months and going to be working at home for the foreseeable future. So again, it's just a big sort of having to adapt. And yeah, it is more difficult meeting everyone online and stuff. But I think that IBM and employers in general are doing the best they can under difficult circumstances.
I think that's why it's quite nice to have that sort of like where you've come back to do the mentoring. You're then able to speak to students who might actually be in a position where they are going to be going into the workplace, but not physically. It's going to be something that's virtual and something they are really going to have to adapt to. And that's why something like a placement year would have helped you, because you're more adaptable. You understand that sort of the change element. And that's why the sort of mentoring scheme that we have specifically in LIBS is really important, because we make sure that we are nurturing our students to understand that adaptability in business, and even more so at the moment. And I think, Leah, did you not have a specific situation with your placement and the coronavirus?
Yeah, so my placement was supposed to go up until July of this year, and I ended up being furloughed since the end of March, which was amazing. Like, it was perfect for me, really, because I had to move home. So from London, I moved back to Sunderland. Yeah, it was quite sad, really. Like, the whole, like, since January to March, you could just see the decline in the whole hospitality industry, which was like, I don't know, it was a good experience to see firsthand, but it was so sad seeing everyone who, like, that you'd worked with start going on furlough, and like people losing their jobs, and just like even just seeing the like daily report figures of like the hotel occupancy just slowly going down. It was just a really sad time. But yeah, from my position, there was no way that my placement could be moved online, because it was definitely like face-to-face customer based, and there was no customers, so there's nothing we could do.
And I think in the hospitality industry as well, and for all of you, you're in a very unique position in sort of starting your careers and having something so unusual happen. Actually thinking of it as a positive, it's going to put you in an amazing stead when it comes to understanding how businesses adapt. And I'm really, I mean, for the hospitality industry, that adaptation is going to be a massive thing, and actually something that, you know, for you going into your third year is going to sort of probably bring up a lot of research that you could take up.
Yeah, definitely. There's even a lot of modules that I'm studying this year that actually have a focus on like how the COVID pandemic has affected certain things, and I can literally just write about my first-hand experience, like witnessing it, doing case studies. Again, I'm using my placement for my dissertation as well. So yeah, just really good experience, although however sad that was.
Oops, sorry. Okay, so is there anything else that you'd perhaps want to say to students about your placement year or your time at university, just sort of rounding up comments? I think we've gone through loads of different points which have been really interesting actually, and it's always nice to come from students and alumni and people that have been in that situation. It's always nice for students and prospective students to hear it from you and how that's affected you and what your experience has been. So is there anything sort of last and foremost that you want to say to
One
students?
thing I'd mention that we've probably not mentioned is use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a brilliant tool, and get yourself, if you're not on there already, get yourself on there and just connect with people and connect with the Lincoln Business School, and you'll start to build up a network over time slowly, and you can see employment opportunities and share the fact that you're looking for work. And if you put a message on LinkedIn, it's surprising how far it can spread. So use LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'd second that as well.
One thing
And don't be
I would say-
afraid. Oh, sorry, no, you can go, Leah, if you want.
Oh, sure, okay. With my company specifically, there was a lot of opportunities that I got and went for that just don't be put off if it's not advertised for placement students. There was, for example, one thing with mine is the company had like a social internet called Universe, and there was a competition going on because my property needed someone to run it and post things about Waterloo and what was going on within Waterloo. And it was for every staff member within that property. But don't think because you're just a placement student that you can't apply for that, because I ended up applying and I also got that opportunity added on to everything that I was doing as a placement student anyways. So yeah, just go for everything.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to message people, you know, like Alex said on LinkedIn. I think that's becoming a new, you know, if you haven't got it, then do try and kind of get onto it or get some advice from people who've got it, or go to mentors or anyone, family, friends, because I used to message a lot of people on LinkedIn to reach out about opportunities. Even with work experience, if you wanted a week's work experience, I used to message on there because, you know, the worst that will happen is you might not get a reply, or they might say, sorry, there's no opportunities, but, you know, it could also go the other way and you might actually get some great experience out of it. But just with the placement, you know, I'd really advise in just looking into it. You know, if you're unsure, just, you know, talk to some more people or try and, you know, look online at some, you know, people that have done it before. It really is kind of, it makes your university experience, I think. And, you know, no regrets at all. And I'm sure the others agree with doing a placement. I think it was only really a good thing. So yeah, I would really, really recommend doing one.
Yeah, and for me, again, just overall, just make sure you utilise all the help that's available to you, be that the Career Centre or the Business School Career Employability team. And when you're looking for a placement, I know initially that I mentioned that I wasn't started university not intending to do a placement year, because I just looked at it like, oh, it's another year, it's going to make my course like a 4-year course, I just want to get uni over and done with. But like, again, like as you said, but the value I've seen from it has been like huge. So like, I think everyone should definitely look into doing a placement year.
I just want to quickly say thank you so much for coming today, and thank you so much for creating a nice free-flowing conversation about placements and opportunities that we offer in the business school, but also that we offer throughout the university. And you know, we offer so many opportunities beyond the classroom, and it's so interesting to get a student perspective on that. We can talk about it all the time, but it's really important to get your perspective. And we really appreciate you coming today, and we hope to keep in contact through LinkedIn, and we will hopefully see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why did I choose Lincoln International Business School? I chose it because I fell in love with it at the application day.
I chose Lincoln Business School because after speaking to people about their experiences here, I knew that I'd be happy.
So doing a placement gives you so much more confidence when entering the workplace for the first time, because you've got that experience underneath your belt.
Not only will you learn loads of new things and discover what you want to do in the future, but you also be more determined than ever when you come back to the final year to complete your degree.
Anything I've learned from like marketing to business management, I've put into practice here. I've obviously improved on it. A year of working in the business, you achieve incredible things.
Hello, my name is Hao Quach. I'm a principal lecturer and program leader for banking and finance. I'm the founder of the Student Managed Fund at the University of Lincoln. The fund is organized the same way as any professional investment company in the real world. It is one of only few of this kind in the UK. Students participating in the fund have the opportunities to meet with experts from the field, and they are given additional trainings to their works.
So one of the things I enjoy about being a member of Ailsmith is that I get to learn in a practical sense, which I find much more enjoyable and interesting than just learning straight from a textbook.
Being part and a member of investment fund is getting many benefits, and the most I enjoy the personal feedback from industry experts.
Also, it's a great way to develop presentation skills and soft skills, which are highly important for the world of work.
The ultimate goal of the fund, therefore, is for students to gain work experience while they are studying at the University of Lincoln. That helps them prepare for the job market after graduation.
Hi, so I'm Eleanor Priest and I've graduated today with a first class honours in business and finance. I can't even put into words how amazing it was to sit in that cathedral, which is stunning. Like, the pictures don't even do it justice. It just feels so surreal, and it's amazing to celebrate with everybody that you've worked with for the past 4 years, and obviously all your family who have supported you throughout. So yeah, it's been amazing, and it's definitely one of my highlights from university.